Good afternoon. It's Monday, September 28th. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. A special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. The National Secondary Students Council is putting more pressure on the Caribbean Examinations Council, CSEC, over what it claims are inconsistent grades for the CSEC and CAPE results released last week. CSEC insists that discrepancies in the grades have been exaggerated, but Public Relations Officer at the Council, Rihanna Robinson, is adamant that the grades need to be revised. Prince Moore has the details.
With the release of CSEC and CAPE results last Tuesday, came widespread discontent over the grading process. Scores of students, parents, and even teachers have rejected the results, claiming the grades do not accurately reflect the candidates' performances in the exams. CSEC, in its response to the outcry last week, insisted that discrepancies in the grades are being exaggerated. However, Public Relations Officer at the National Secondary Students Council, Rihanna Robinson, says something is not adding up as students received similar profiles but different grades.
A student sent in some their results, and one had a ABC profile for a 1 and the same ABC profile with a 3. So these things, the inconsistencies there don't really make much sense to the students, especially the fact that they'll be going in with the same IA grade. Even some teachers have explained to us as well that their students are going in with 100% as a group IA. And one student has come out with a 1, the other student has come out with a 4, the other student has come out with a 5.
CSEC Registrar Dr. Wayne Wesley reasons that the students' internal assessment is not the sole determinant of their grades.
The IA is not the only component that is used to determine the student grade. And secondly, the IA grade received by any student is not the final grade because of the moderation exercise. So those are not the final grade. There is also the multiple choice component.
But Ms. Robinson is not buying that response.
These teachers would have been teaching for years, and there was no issue before, and this year suddenly there's such a huge issue, and they're stating that you're not going to look into it when it is that this is such a large-scale issue. We don't appreciate that, Mr. Wesley. We don't.
Okay, I understand.
And also, you spoke to students who would have received the different profiles, the same profiles and different grades, but students were confident going into those paper one exams. And paper 1 gives you a better idea of your performance than the subjective paper, which was removed this year. Therefore, students had a very good idea of how they performed on that paper 1 when coming out of that exam.
A petition demanding a review of the CSEC and CAPE results has been signed by more than 15,000 students outside Jamaica up to last Thursday. Meanwhile, the Education Ministry is in dialogue with CSEC on the matter. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
4 more COVID-19 related deaths were recorded within the last 24 hours, pushing the country's death toll to 93. The latest victims are a 73-year-old female from Trelawney, a 92-year-old male from Clarendon. 2 other males aged 57 and 95 from Kingston and St. Andrew also died. All the deceased individuals had underlying conditions. Meanwhile, the country's coronavirus case count now stands at 6,170. 153 cases of the coronavirus were recorded yesterday. The latest statistics provided by the Ministry of Health and Wellness show that there are 10 critically ill patients. Another 26 persons are moderately ill. A breakdown of the ministry's largest figures indicated that Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and St. James recorded the most new cases. Kingston and St. Andrew recorded 53, St. Catherine 32, and St. James had 25 cases. There were no new COVID-19 cases recorded for St. Elizabeth. Pan American Health Organization, PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne says the entity will support member countries to monitor the effectiveness and safety of a COVID-19 vaccine when one is approved. Dr. Etienne, who says nearly 200 vaccine candidates are being studied, expressed hope that one or more will prove to be effective. The PAHO director disclosed that throughout the pandemic, the entity has been in frequent contact with health regulators across the Americas, updating them on vaccine developments that are crucial to the informing the steps needed for the approval. While acknowledging that preparations for COVID-19 vaccine development will not be easy, she said the Americas has a strong legacy of immunization programs. The PAHO said the governments must provide clear guidance about the vaccines and their vaccination strategies to instill trust and minimize confusion. Investigators are trying to identify the persons who were involved in Saturday night's incident in Parrytown, St. Anne, in which a police service vehicle was damaged while cops were trying to shut down a party which was being held in breach of the Disaster Risk Management Act. The organizer of the event, 31-year-old Rashant Lawrence, was charged with resisting arrest and breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act. It was reported that Mr. Lawrence fled to another property when the police attempted to arrest him. The events unfolded about 9:30 Saturday evening. Head of the St. Anne Police, Senior Superintendent Calvin Small, told Radio Jamaica News that a team was responding to a noise complaint.
Once they arrived, they proceeded to deal with the matter when some persons got boisterous and started damaging the service vehicle. The promoter was held and arrested and charged, and we're in the process of trying to locate others who would have caused damage to the government property.
It's reported that while the promoter was being arrested, angry patrons who were leaving the event hurled boulders and other missiles into the windscreen and other windows of the service vehicle. The tires were also slashed. The SSP Small says the incident was not triggered by police aggression.
People just feel like they should have their event and they should not be disturbed. So that is really what caused it. It wasn't because of any aggression on the part of the police. It's just persons not being observant and trying to have things their own way.
And we now take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More news when we return. Welcome back, continuing the news. The leadership of PNP presidential aspirant Lisa Hanna is now being brought into question following her dismal performance in the September 3 general elections. But will that be a hamper to her success for the top job in the PNP? O'Shane Masters has the details.
5 names, but only 2 have officially confirmed that they are vying for the post of president of a People's National Party, the PNP. It comes as PNP President Dr. Peter Phillips tendered his resignation following a poor showing by the party in the general election, winning only 14 seats of a parliamentary 63. One of those contesting for the job is the Member of Parliament for St. Anne Southeastern, Lisa Hanna. She barely held on to her seat on the night, winning by 14 votes in preliminary count and 50 following a magisterial recount. For political analyst Damian Gordon, that could be an hindrance for Ms. Hanna.
Her win in the general election was very small compared to the margin of victory that she used to enjoy in previous elections. And considering that this has historically been one of the seats of the People's National Party, her leadership skill has come into focus because it appears that if she's unable to commandingly win a small a constituency, then it speaks perhaps about her lack of readiness to lead a big organization such as the People's National Party.
But nonetheless, he believes she's best suited to go up against the leadership of Andrew Holness.
She's very popular. She has a significant base and name recognition. She has a large base on social media. And it's felt that she has the popularity and the youth appeal that the party can tap into to match Andrew Holness pound for pound. So certainly that is a consideration.
As for Mark Golding, Mr. Gordon believes though he does not have that charismatic persona, his thinking and level-headedness is what the party needs now. However, he says it will come down to what the delegates want. In the meantime, public commentator Helene Davis-White believes a presidential challenge can do more harm to the party if the process is not properly managed. She says party insiders should ensure that there is no further division within the party. This as the party continues to suffer from the bruising challenge between Peter Bunting's Rise United and Dr. Peter Phillips's one PNP presidential runoff last year.
I would certainly hope that those persons within the party are connected to the party who have the interest of the party at heart will be able to, sort of ensure or encourage that whatever process that they put into effect is such that it will be managed properly, because I think this is part of the difficulty that we're having. The reports coming out of the NEC yesterday says it is going to be absolutely essential for this to be done as a matter of urgency, because if the process isn't managed properly, then the party can in fact lose more than it gains from this presidential contest.
A November 7 election date was set during the party's National Executive Council NEC meeting in Kingston on Sunday. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
And with PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson indicating that he will be stepping down from the post, Mrs. Davis White thinks former Member of Parliament for Manchester Central, Peter Bunting, would be a good candidate.
Remembering that he was the General Secretary that led the PNP to its victory in 2011, both in the general elections and in the local government elections. I think he has shown his capacity in terms of being able to organize and so on. So I think he is a likely candidate for General Secretary if it is that he feels the need really to be able to rebuild the party, because that is what I think this process should be about: rebuilding the party, repositioning the party, rebranding the party. All of those are the things that should be in the forefront of the minds of anybody in leader position in a People's National Party at this time.
Fire of unknown origin destroyed a 10-bedroom apartment in Warminster, St. Elizabeth on the weekend. TVJ News understands that about 3 p.m. on Sunday, residents heard strange sounds and upon investigation discovered fire in a section of the house.
Down the road yesterday and get a phone call, say fire. But like the line in a flash. And said time, we get the call and ride come up here. You can see the fire, whole house just blaze and the fire. Just them just be and just ride out. As me just leave, ride out and we go see me, I look one credit. Car and cousin are fire in the house. Just that me come here. Just leave, just like, I tell you.
The fire brigade was alerted and 3 units from the Santa Cruz fire station responded and extinguished the blaze. The loss is estimated at $30 million. No one was injured in the fire. We go on to news overseas. India has officially reported more than 6 million cases of COVID-19. It took just 12 days for India to register 1 million cases. That's one of the fastest rates of infection in the world. More than 80,000 cases were reported in the last 24 hours, maintaining India's place as the country with the second highest caseload in the world behind the United States. And still overseas, U.S. President Donald Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court on Saturday. He says he wants her confirmed to the Supreme Court before the November election, but that's less than 40 days away. So what would a fast-track confirmation look like? We go to the CNN for details.
It is my honor to nominate one of our nation's most brilliant and gifted legal minds to the Supreme Court.
Judge Amy Coney Barrett, President Trump's pick for Supreme Court Justice, and the push for confirmation is well underway. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows says it starts with getting senators on board.
Making sure that all the senators are well informed of the judge's credentials, which are impeccable, but we're optimistic that we'll be prepared.
He says they plan to start making their case to senators Monday and be on Capitol Hill as early as Tuesday. Barrett will also be there Tuesday to meet with several people, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Then the process heads to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Lindsey Graham, head of that committee, says the confirmation hearing will begin starting with opening statements on October 12th. On Tuesday and Wednesday, Judge Barrett will be questioned. Then there would be a closed session on October 15th with outside witnesses. And finally, a committee vote on October 22nd to send the nomination before the entire chamber. And Senator Graham says he hopes it'll clear the committee by the 26th.
Then it will be up to Senator McConnell as to what to do with the nomination once it comes out of committee.
This timeline tees up a final vote on the Senate floor just days shy of the November 3rd election, putting the Senate on track for one of the quickest confirmations in modern history.
We go down to news in sports. Chairman of Malines United, Eduardo Cornwall, says the Jamaica Football Federation could assist clubs in getting players overseas. Cornwall says local players often miss out on opportunities to go overseas due to a lack of representation and connection. This, he feels, can be fixed with the help from the JFF, despite it not falling under the scope of the local governing body.
What I would have advised our president to do, create an agent sector into the organization. And that agent sector, what he or she will do, see clubs international for such a player in your club. And I mean, if he can get a contract overseas, and that will bring some revenue into the club. This is what needed into Jamaica, right? Because I mean, when you look back and see some of the players, them have talent, and they would get if they get a chance, they will do good overseas. We need somebody into the JFF office to do that.
In the meantime, Cornwall says he was grateful for the $1.2 million from the JFF to clubs to help with preparation and participation in the upcoming National Premier League.
We are happy for it, very happy for it, and we will make full use of it, because I mean, getting 1.2, it is a big means for us also. So we will make the best effort of it.
The National Premier League is set to kick off on November 14. And that's it for the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us at 7 for the primetime package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.